Hey everybody, this is Grace, and I just come out, sitting in my SUV to make some videos, and I have to tell you, we have been, today is March 6, 2026. It says 82 degrees Fahrenheit, of course, Fahrenheit. And that's what my SUV says, and it's 4:24 p.m. But I came out here to make videos, but I know that early this morning, it was saying that we were going to be under a, isn't it called Tor Con 5, level 5. That's a tornado. I don't know what the con stands for, but is it con? I asked Adam, he said, I think so. He said, yeah, because I had said, isn't it con 5 or whatever? But anyway, we were under, that's a big one, 5, and I watched it online on I think it's the Weather Channel, and that was early this morning. I'm an early bird. Well, I could say night owl, or I could say I just have insomnia every once in a while. But anyway, it was real early, and nothing. We didn't even get any rain. Nothing. I guess we had some rain today. So I see a little bit on my windshield here. But mainly what I see is pollen. It is spring. So, anyway, we had that and nothing happened. I'm trying to do something here. Who is calling me now? Let me see. It was one of those telemarketers, roofers. This is so-and-so roofing. I don't need a roof, but they're calling. I told the woman, don't ever call this number again. I'm reporting you. And I hung up and I reported her. Yep, that easy. Because we get those at our door all the time. But anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, we were under this Torcon 5. But if I'm saying it wrong, sorry. But, and we're still under it. What? My goodness. And nothing. So, well, that's a good thing. Yes, that's a good thing. But it's still kind of like that feeling of, they're saying we're supposed to have it, but what's going on? Kind of, sort of. I mean, it's good that we're not having it, but that's unusual for something that big to not happen. And so don't know. And then it's not only on that one now. So anyway, I'm trying to get to where I'm comfortable in my SUV. I've mentioned these things about neighbors that it's just creepy. Just flat out creepy. So, but anyway, what was I going to talk about now? See, this kind of stuff, it just distracts me. Yeah, I have enough distractions in my life. I come outside to sit in my SUV, and there's things that will distract me. But I have put up in my SUV, I put up stuff that helps make my own little kind of curtain. And I'll put it up each time I come out here, so I'm not distracted. Well, it's not only that I'm not distracted. One of them, I started because the sun was so bright. It was hurting on the driver's side. It was hurting my left arm. It was so hot. And I put up this I had a little throw blanket in my SUV, and I put it up there on my visor, around my visor, and put it to that side, that window, so it covers that window. And I realized that's great for those neighbors that are so freaking nosy. It just really bothers me. And I come out here for, have a little peace and quiet. Get out of the house, have some me time. Really. I don't need nosy neighbors sitting there watching me, or they do their window. Their windows, if they open their windows, the only thing they see is our driveway, in which our driveway is not attached to anybody else's. It's ours, and the houses are not attached to other people's houses. Nope, they're what do they call them? Single family homes or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, that upsets me that it just, somebody calls these telemarketers. That has always been a problem, you know. And yesterday somebody called, and the bad thing is this one place, I told the woman, I said, do you know your phone number? It has to do with medical. I said, do you know your phone number shows up as potential spam? And she was surprised, and I don't know which one it was. I think it was one of the, I don't know if it was the pharmacy, not I don't know. It was something to do with the medicine that I'm still waiting on after, this is 3.5 weeks. It was supposed to be done 3 days, and this is 3.5 weeks. And the woman just can't get it, they can't get it right. That doctor's office, they cannot get stuff right. I'm sitting here shaking my head. They don't. It is that bad. They don't. And it's a medication I needed my whole life. None of these doctors that I've seen in all these years, it's been out about 10 years or so, and none of them ever told me that. Before then, you just had to suffer through and get Band-Aid medications. None of them, all these doctors, none of them said, oh, do you know this medication's out? Until this one. And he's a specialist, and I've seen plenty of specialists. Yeah. But I came out here to talk about something, and I don't know. But anyway, that somebody called yesterday, and there's a story behind it. During the day, I had called a different office about, something about why my leg is hurting, and I had seen this doctor before, and they had said that they would run some tests on legs and I called to find out what were those tests that they run, because my doctor that I switched back to, she told me, she asked me something about it too, and I said, I don't know. It was a few, a couple of years, 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was in 2023. And so I called him yesterday to find out, and the first woman was real nice. She was nice about it, but then she put me on hold, and somebody picked up and hung up. Well, when I was writing that doctor, the woman, I wrote her a question, on the portal. I was on my computer. So then I did that, finished that up, and then, I called them back. And now that I'm thinking about it, it probably was the woman that was supposed to answer. Anyway, when I called back and they said, Mrs., me, the woman that was real nice, and she said, sorry about that, putting you on hold for so long. I said, no, somebody picked up and hung up. I'm calling you back. And she said, really? She said, that's weird. I said, that's what happened. And so she said, well, let me connect you to that woman. I think that's what happened, is that woman, this woman that she was connecting me to, picked up and hung up. So this woman came on, and she was extremely rude. She kept talking over me. This is the second time this year in this other place that this has happened. The other place was a totally different one. Okay, it's twice this year already. This is March 6th. This kind of problem. Just rude talking over me. I said, we had a conversation, and I said, well, are you still what's your street address? And she said, we're still at the same place. And I said, I go to a lot of places, and I'd only been there once in 2023, and then I think once early last year. And I go to places all the time. So many doctors last year, so many different places for different reasons. I'm going to remember that one? No. So, and all I wanted was a street address. Apparently she didn't know what street address meant. And she goes, well, where? And she said this highway and then this road meet. And I said, I would need the street address. But she talked over me. She kept talking over me to the point twice. I questioned if I was talking to, if I was actually listening to one of those recordings. I have never known anybody to be that extremely rude. The other one talked over me, but she actually also paused. And she just kept talking, not answering my question. This one just kept talking, not pausing. And it was so extremely rude. And I'm laughing at the nerve of these people, the people who do stuff like this. And anyway, I hung up on her because there was no sense in it. And I think I actually did say, you just lost your doctor, a patient, and hung up. And she called me back. And the thing was that she had my account and everything there, because I called from the landline. She called me on my cell phone. I had to go get it. And I saw the name. I had put foot doctor. It's the name. It was a foot doctor, but not. It's the same. And I answered the phone and said, I hope this is not the woman I just spoke to that was extremely rude. And I wanted to make sure my voice was heard before hers. You know, no matter whose it was heard what she did. And she just started talking again, blah, 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 blah. And I said, you were rude. You talked over me. I said, and I told her, you spoke over me and didn't listen. And I said, and I used to work as a interim office manager for orthospinal neurosurgeons, and you said that, and she just, and I hung up on her. So anyway, later on, and I knew a woman similar to this years ago, probably, my goodness, maybe like 20 years ago, maybe. And but anyway, this later on in the day, it was around 8 o'clock. All of a sudden, my phone had was ringing. It said potential spam. I usually don't get those calls too much. They try to send me texts, but I don't get potential spam because I report every one of them. Everybody who calls me and it's some other, I report it. My phone has that option to report them, and I do, and so I do. And anyway, I answered the phone because I was thinking, like I said, that the medication that somebody had called me, and it showed up as potential spam. So I'm still waiting on this medication. And I thought maybe there was somebody who was supposed to call. And anyway, they didn't say anything. And I kept saying, hello, hello, because I was thinking it was about this medication. You know, and at the fourth one I said, don't call this number again. I'm reporting you. And I hung up. Now, I probably shouldn't have. It might have been them and they just didn't hear. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't, or something happened. They couldn't hear, or I couldn't hear them. I just don't think so. In fact, what I think it was that woman. You know, that woman at the doctor's office. Because I'll tell you, like I said, I knew a woman like this. I worked with her, and she wound up getting me and this other woman not fired, but she was the one doing wrong, and they told me that if I can't get along with her, you know, something like that, if I can't get along with her, and she and I keep having problems, we're not going to work there anymore. And I was doing it as a temporary, and I just called the temporary agency and told them what happened, and they said, yeah, don't go back. And but it was a bad scene all around, you know, because this woman was crazy. I mean, downright crazy. And it was a major place. I mean, major corporation in the United States, big time. And basically, yeah, I was a student, and I did that. Whatever I could find that would work around my class schedule and everything. And this woman, she basically told, there was a little shack outside, and people who were smokers would go out there. It wasn't actually even little, it was kind of big. And I was a smoker back then, a cigarette smoker. And she was too. And me and a bunch of other people were out there, and all smoking. And she started just talking to nobody. Okay, she was talking to nobody. Kind of just walking, and her eyes were, you know, just like not glassy. And I don't want to say she was on anything. I think this was just her, not on anything. Because we were at work, and it was after lunch or something, maybe. I don't know. It wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't a scene where I thought she was on something, so I could have been wrong too. It was a long time ago. But, and others, we all, she was also a temporary and in the same department, and I never really liked her. Just something was off about her, and I'm talking like she was mean off. Mean, and her offness was mean. If you could put it that way. The woman had a lot of nerve too. Like I said, I laugh at the nerve. It's not funny at all. But some people, the nerve, Anyway, we were all sitting out there, and it was, people, some of the people who had worked there for a long time. And she was always, I actually went to lunch with her one time, and never again. Her car was just so filthy and everything. And I mean, I don't really judge too much like that, in a way. Back then I didn't. In a way I do now. I guess maybe that really tainted me. But anyway, so she was walking around talking to herself. And what she was talking about was that she had worked in a call center. And a big call center. And I don't know, to me it sounded kind of like, I guess people who, like there's some kind of utility or something, and they pay their bills through that or something like this. It was back then different than what it is now, kind of thing. And because what she worked for, the people would live in that area. It wouldn't be like a call center in another state. It was right there. Okay. And something like that. And anyway, what she did was, she said somebody called her on the phone, a customer, and while she was at work and everything, and they said that they didn't like her attitude, and they bitched her out basically. And then she hung up, but she got off of their account, she got their phone number, name, and street address. Like I said, back then it was different. She got their street address, phone number, name, and she started harassing them. And she's sitting there telling all the people working there this story. The ones that work there full time, they should have told the boss and fired her right then and there. Okay, because she's letting everybody there know that that's the type of person she is. And we were dealing with people over the phone. Okay. It wasn't like a call center kind of thing. No, it was had something to do with medical, so I'll just leave that there. But it was scary. And this woman I spoke to yesterday, that's kind of like, she sounded even kind of like her. I mean, the voice just automatically made me jerk back, and flinch. As people say, whoa, that voice sounds so familiar. Just so like a twisted person. Wow, do you hear that? Okay, I think it was that car that just went by, and some young teenagers, and he was booming his music. But it didn't sound like that at first until he got closer. It sounded like boom boom, out. And we're waiting for that storm. So anyway, that's what it reminded me of yesterday. It did big time. And so when I got that phone call later on and they didn't say anything, and it was potential spam, like I said, I was waiting on one that had shown up before. It was a legitimate one, said potential spam. So kind of, the whole thing kind of freaked me out, because like this one was a doctor's office that's nearby. This woman could have taken my address and decided she's going to come by my home. You know what I'm saying? So there's some Looney Tunes out there. Looney Tunes. Well, how professional, huh? But that's a nice version. really. There's a lot of traffic all of a sudden again. 4:47, yeah, it's kind of rush hour. This is a neighborhood that would be people coming home from work. You know, so anyway. Okay, and anyway. But yeah, I'm glad I made a video about this yesterday. So I'm glad I did it again, because a while ago it came back to my mind. And you know, when I do videos about these kinds of things, it's a pressure release valve. I'm venting, you know, pressure release valve. And with my health conditions and all, you know, I had heart failure twice last year. And to me, it really helps me that I do this, make videos and vent about stuff. And you know, some people, you know, I don't have very many views because I've figured that out. The AI that you can see it on desktop on YouTube, you can click this button. It says, you know, there's three things you can click on that will tell you about your last video and stuff like that. And one of them told me that I was not dramatic enough. No, I'm not. I'm not dramatic. I'm not a dramatic person. And it told me what kind of words to use and to make them in capitals, all caps. Yeah, those particular words. I tried it, didn't do anything. But I used to say my channels were shadow banned, but I looked that up, and there was another one. It's called Dead Channel, and mine have basically become dead channels. And I had tried last year to do all that, you know, these supposed gurus talk about. I've never really believed in them. 11.5 years I've been on YouTube making videos, and on my original channel, never really believed in these gurus, supposed gurus, voices of authority. No. And I have multiple channels because I do a series and spin-offs and all, and none of it worked. None of it worked. And they're different type of videos. Some of them, people don't even know it's me. Okay, I don't show my face. I don't say a word at all. Okay, it's one of those. I'm a little tired. I'm sitting out here. I'm feeling a little tired, but I'm glad that I, you know, brought that all up, because I didn't say this about that other woman, and that's probably what's bothering me, is that it was that woman from so many years ago. I really don't even know how many years ago it was. It may have been over 20 years. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it could have been over 20 years ago. And probably more than that, maybe. But it was one of those situations where I was wronged, and I was the one that was being threatened. You know, the woman became she threatened basically everybody working there. You know, I didn't say that part. It was not really a threat, but she let everybody know when she said that she was threatening. She was letting them know who she was and how she saw things. And if they bothered her, you know, she was going to do something. So who knows what she did while she was working there? You know, and did she know where we lived and stuff like that? Who knows? Because that kind of mentality. And I just remember being wronged. And because I remember another woman working there, I tried to explain to her. I tried to tell her, look, she's doing that to all of us. And I'm telling her that she's doing it to me and all of us. And she was the one that said, if you can't get along with her, then both of you are going to go. And I'm just like, you know, like I said, it was a major corporation. And I wasn't the only person that, like I said, I was not the only person. And, but nope. You know, we were just disposable people. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, I guess it's good because some of the things, you know, something triggers you to something, and I didn't mention that part. So, anyway, wrapping this up.